good evening and welcome to Chaturday Live. My name is Jay Robinson, the host of Chaturday Live, the chat show on social media in support of mental health awareness. Tonight's show is live, unpredictable. Anything can happen because of the guest that we have on this evening, so please bear with us. My fingers crossed we'll have him for the full hour and we'll get an enjoyable show. As I mentioned, Chaturday Live is here in support of mental health awareness. This show has been set up during lockdown just to entertain you lot at home, just so that you've got something different to watch that's not the news, that's not anything to do with COVID, just pure entertainment. And I try my very best to make sure that I give you the very top quality of guests on the show. So tonight's guest is from Carlisle East Fire Station, based in Carlisle, obviously. He's going to be talking to us about the job role, maybe a bit of a tour around the station. What we do is I request and ask you guys, if you want to know anything that I'm not asking questions of, stick it in the comment section. It will show up live and we can ask our guests live on the show. We can put it up on the screen. If anybody is on there deliberately trying to, tease our guest as well, we may put that up on there as well. I'm looking at you, Sean, if you're about. So without any further ado, I'm going to welcome our guest to the show. Stick the thumbs up, big likes and hearts for Mr. Stuart Forrester. Hello, Stuart.
Hey, how are you doing? You well?
Not bad yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
That's what I like to hear. So a little bit about you then. Your name is Stuart Forrester from Carlisle East Fire Station, but let's talk about you and what you do then. So firefighting, let's dig right in from the beginning. Where does it come from? What got you into firefighting?
It's something that I sort of had aspirations for from a very early age. Probably stemmed from the fire service coming to visit us in schools a long time ago, to be fair. Went to school, did all right in my exams and things, and then decided to follow it as a career. Straight from school, you obviously have to be 18 to apply for the fire service. So I waited till I was 18, applied. The process took about 9 months to get through. Eventually found out I was successful, and then never looked back really. Had a couple of temporary jobs just while I was waiting to join the fire service. I've been doing it for nearly 15 years now. Started off with a residential course, so we did 16 weeks training, based between the training centre in Lancashire, Barrow Fire Station and the old Penrith Fire Station, and then basically got stationed to Carlisle Fire Station when there was one central fire station in the middle of the city, and then I've been on White Watch at Carlisle ever since.
Brilliant. I must state, obviously, you're a firefighter. You're currently on shift as we speak. So if you do hear somewhat of a loud noise and Stuart just kind of like makes a Stuart-shaped hole in the wall because he's had to run off, we do forgive you, but we'll carry on the show, and obviously we'll probably catch up with you later on. But hopefully that doesn't happen and Carlisle are safe. So can you explain to us why it's Carlisle East then? So there's another fire station in the area, I guess?
Yeah, so I think it's probably about 8 years ago now, where the old central Carlisle station, basically the council decided to split us in half and create 2 satellite stations. So rather than having Carlisle's whole emergency response based in the city centre down by Debenhams, and basically whenever an emergency came in, we'd spread out across the city to wherever we needed to be. They split the personnel in half, sent one fire engine to Carlisle East and a special appliance, and then the other fire engine went to up the Bellevue area to Shady Grove Road, where they built another fire station. And the idea behind that was basically some of the higher risks for areas for us are in those areas. So rather having 2 fire engines going from the city centre and potentially taking 5-6 minutes to get to a life risk emergency, then hopefully we can get one fire engine there quicker, and then the other one might take slightly longer to get there, but at least we can arrive and start putting procedures in to start rescue people that need our help, basically.
All right. So the term firefighter is obviously in the name, that it just stipulates that you fight fires, but becoming a firefighter, you get trained for many different, obviously, incident emergencies that may not be related to fire at all. So what kind of training have you been given and signed off to do, and what does Carlisle East specialise in?
Yeah, so the role of a firefighter is very broad now. Obviously, we used to be a fire service. Now we're a fire and rescue service. So part of our role is we also do obviously deal with fires, house fires, fires in the open, car fires and things like that. But a large part of our role nowadays is dealing with road traffic collisions. So obviously rescuing people from roads. Carlisle got major rivers running through it. Obviously a history of flooding, so we get a lot of flooding incidents a year. So we're all water rescue technicians. So if anybody does find themselves in difficulty in fast flowing water, we've got the skill sets to be able to rescue them. We deal with chemical, biological, nuclear incidents if we get called to them. People stuck underground, people stuck on tall buildings. We've got line rescue equipment and things like that. So yeah, it's a very varied role that we have now. Whenever people are in need, we'll basically try our best to help. And that goes for animals as well. Whenever there's animals in distress, we also turn out to that. So Cumbria being quite a rural area, we've got a lot of farms, so we get cows and sheep that need all rescuing skills frequently. So we've got specialist equipment to help lift large animals and things like that. And we still do get domestic cats and horses and things that need our assistance as well. So a lot of training to be done, a lot of equipment to carry. We've got specialist appliances that do carry specialist rescue equipment. So Carlisle West Fire Station, their appliance is more of a sort of heavy rescue unit. So it carries specialist equipment for road traffic collisions involving heavy goods vehicles, where we might need bigger or stronger equipment to help rescue people from there. It also carries the specialist animal rescue equipment and some extra water rescue equipment, including an inflatable boat and a power motor as well. So that's based on that side of the city. And on our side of the city, we've got it's basically a normal fire engine that deals with all the incidents that we go to. So we never just attend a property fire or water rescue with one fire engine. We always go with a minimum of 2 fire engines, depending on what the call is. So we've got the equipment there to use, and we're all trained between the 2 stations on using the equipment as well. And as well,
so yeah, with the obviously the equipment you do, like you say, you literally wear several different hats as a job role. But actually, I saw something on social media. We spoke about this yesterday, that there's obviously humour pages around firefighters, police, ambulance services and stuff like that. And the term different hats. So do you actually have people in different job roles that wear different hats and colours then? So is that the case? People do wear different coloured hats for different skills then? Is that something in your area, or is that, like you say, the more London-based city centre way?
Yeah, well, we do have specialist skills. So a lot of us are trauma trained. So if we get to a road traffic collision where there's somebody seriously injured, we've got advanced first aid training, basically, where we can help provide an airway. We've got defibrillators, things to stop catastrophic bleeding. So if you see a yellow helmet with green stripes on the back, that basically means you're a trauma technician. So that notates that you've got a specialist skill in that department. But the other helmets that we have, obviously, if you have a yellow helmet with stripes on, that donates a crew manager. So they're a level of management. And then a white helmet, that means they're a more senior manager, basically. But with regards to PPE, we do carry specialist swiftwater rescue equipment. So we've got dry suits on the appliance with water rescue helmets. We've got all the working height harnesses and working height rescue helmets and things like that as well. So yeah, there's a lot of varied aspects to the role, and we are well kitted out to deal with any emergency that will come across.
Yeah, so you say, obviously we spoke yesterday, we had a pre-interview, which was lucky we didn't get called out then as well. Fingers crossed we don't tonight. But as you said, you're more of a rescue service than a firefighter then, really, like you say, because you said to me that if anything comes up on the news or the media and they say like the rescue service or the rescue team are on site, that probably relates to probably you and your team and your guys, or the people in the same profession then who are, equipped with the right materials to be on scene. Would that be correct?
Yeah, so an example would be when Carlisle flooded. The news coverage that came through was all about the rescue teams that were helping rescue people, and 95% of those were firefighters from Carlisle, Cumbria and further afield. We do mobilise to outside of our county borders, so we've got specialist rescue teams that if there was mass flooding going on in somewhere like Somerset and Cumbria isn't as at risk, we can mobilise down there and help. So when Carlisle flooded, we had teams from Derbyshire, Tyne and Wear, everywhere descended on the city to help rescue people. So the term rescue services, it can equate to mountain rescue and coast guard and things like that. But the incidents that we attend where we're not wearing the full fire kit, so the yellow PPE and the yellow helmets, people do tend to just refer to us as rescue teams rather than fire service.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it might just be down to lack of education. They don't know what them responders are, but because it is such a varied role and we attend all these different incidents, then it is one of our major jobs, and it is us that are generally called first.
Yeah. So although you are a rescue team, they could quite easily just say firefighters because, like you say, you are all qualified and trained for all eventualities. So we're lucky enough that I've recently just moved up here. I don't have a Cumbrian accent, as you can probably tell. But what I have noticed that we are surrounded by a lot of hills. Where I'm from, a hill is a speed bump. So obviously I've moved further north. So will you find a lot of the times in the summer you get a lot of walkers up on the mountains and getting caught out? Do you get caught up to these situations as well?
Yeah, the mountains is more of a response for mountain rescue than us. We do assist if they do need our specialist assistance. We get called to the mountains a lot for wildfires in the summer. So be it deliberately or they've accidentally been started. There's obviously been a few recently over the west coast where there's been large swathes of the countryside on fire. And a lot of our on-call stations have got specialist equipment to deal with that. So they've got 4x4 vehicles with water tanks on to help put those out, and they get advanced training and different PPE to help deal with that. Because the structural firefighting kit that we wear, it's great for the purpose. It stops heat from getting into us if we're in house fires at 600 degrees C plus. But if we're out on the open countryside, slogging up and down hills, it's not the best stuff to wear. So the on-call stations have got thinner stuff with walking boots, just so it's a little bit easier for them to deal with the conditions.
So when you first start out then, how does one go about, like you say, you've applied for the firefighters, you told me, no humble brags, but there was quite a few people that applied for the role, and there was only, how many vacancies?
There was 16 at the time.
16 at the time. So when you get into becoming a firefighter, was it what you expected, or like you say, was it a bit of a culture shock, like you say, with the amount of roles that were added to maybe what you saw, or was it, was you prepared for this situation, or again, is it just ongoing training? You've been in the firefighting now for 15 years, so I'm guessing a lot has changed in that 15 years anyway, but from when you started, is there a drastic difference?
Yeah, when I first started, we were certainly more focused on dealing with fires and road traffic collisions. We did still get trained in rescuing people from height and things like that, but certainly since the floods in Carlisle, the first time it flooded in 2002 or whenever it was, they realised that we were the only ones that were actually available to help the people of Carlisle. So we did get additional training. The first floods, people were borrowing, stealing canoes, going down the streets to help people. So we're now in a much better place. We've got much better training, much better equipment, much better PPE. So we can work in these conditions for 24 hours, 48 hours solid, depending on what we have to do to help the people that are in need. It is an ever-evolving service. So people think the fire service is a simple job to do. If you go into a house fire, there's actually a lot of science involved behind it. You can't just go in and squirt a load of water, because that, believe it or not, putting loads of water in a confined fire environment will actually make it worse than...
Oh, okay.
Because you're creating steam, which the steam is what actually gets inside the personal protective equipment that we wear, so you can potentially cook yourself. So you need to be really careful with what you're applying, how you're dealing with things. There's firefighters killed every year dealing with house fires because of different conditions that come across, such as backdrafts. Probably seen the film where you're opening a container, letting oxygen in, and it can explode. So we're trained in noticing the signs and symptoms of that, and also flashover when it's getting really hot and the whole room can combust. So there's a lot of training goes into it. It's not just a case of going in, squirting water and that's that. Obviously searching and rescue as well. If there's people trapped in there, we need to know how to search quickly and effectively to cover the areas, to make sure we're finding people as quickly as possible and rescuing them. So fires is just one aspect of our job. but we do need to be really on top of it as well, because it is a dangerous situation that we're going in, obviously.
Just a quick side note, if anybody's watching, I just want to make sure you may not be commenting and you're generally watching because it's interesting, because it is interesting. But I am the only one currently using the service. So if you are watching, would you mind just saying either hello to Stuart in the comments section or something? I just want to make sure that we are getting those come through. So just if you're watching this, I know there's a delay, say hello, ask a question. Stuart is here. He will ask any fire related or safety questions that may come under his belt. He's not alone as well. He has an assistant lurking in the background somewhere as well that maybe you might be able to put them on the spot a little bit later as well. So please do comment so we know you're there. Like and share and all that. Thank you, Becky, with the stars. Thank you. I know something's coming through now. So yeah, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask as and when we go. Again, so training then. So you've been so you get this lovely letter come through the post that says you've been successful, to be taken on for training and join the academy and such, which I've just seen now locally that a load of more recruits have just been taken on as well recently, I believe, possibly at West or in the recovery in general for for Cumbria. So again, I know you've got somebody else there that can probably tell me, but what's the training period? What's the start to finish before you haven't got anybody signing you off? And you can go out with the rest of the team?
Yeah, it depends on the situation. Obviously, with COVID at the minute, we try to be as COVID secure as we can with our recruits courses. So it's normally 12 to 14 weeks training course, which goes through the basics of firefighting. So dealing with property fires, dealing with road traffic collisions, working height, water rescue and things like that. This time, they actually did 3 weeks learning from home. So using Microsoft Teams to basically teach people the basics without coming together and risking the spread of COVID between the new recruits. They split them into half as well, so they had 2 different squads to make sure that when they were training, if there was a case of COVID in one squad, it didn't necessarily affect the other. But at this point, I'll bring Lauren in because she's been in the service 6 months now.
Yeah.
So she's fresh out of the training school. So if anybody's got any questions, I'll let her talk through.
Yeah. Swing the camera around. We'll meet Lauren. So if she's there and she's happy to chat.
Yeah.
Hello, Lauren.
Hi.
Welcome to Chaturday Live. How are we?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much. That's the first time somebody's asked me for a long while, so thank you very much. Right, so Lauren, I guess you're fresh off the line, as they say. So from start to finish to where you are now, then what's the training like? And feel free, guys, if you're watching and commenting, to fire questions and keep Lauren on her toes as well. It's Lauren Hollies, is it?
Yeah.
That's right. No, I'm making sure I've got it right. So I want to get your name out there, so you're famous because, as you're probably aware, Stuart's now been over social media and he's he's got at least 100 to 200, I don't know, views, not followers. No one likes him. That's fine. So start to finish then, Lauren. So you applied. So what kind of training have you had to go through so far?
Yeah, so we started with a few weeks, as Stuart said, online learning. So they got all the PowerPoints and theory training over and done with before we went onto station. And then when we went to station, we had a week of every topic really. So we started with the basics of the fire engine itself, so the mechanics of it, where things were located, how to get water from it. We then moved on to the ladders, so how to pitch the ladders over confined spaces when there's obstacles there. We then moved on to, my squad, so like Stu said, we were split into 2 squads. So my squad then went on to the hot fire unit. So we were introduced to the BA side of it with the fire science, and so we had 2 straight weeks of that. Because like Stuart was saying, there's a lot more science goes into it than just going in and firing the water. You need to really understand what you're doing and how to properly search in conditions where you probably can't see your hand in front of your face, really. So we had that. We had RTC training, so cars in different scenarios. We got cars from scrapyards coming to the station so that we can practice drills with them. So cars on the side, cars on the roofs, casualties under the cars, in the cars. So we had a lot of practice with that. Large animal rescue. Then we had Swiftwater as well. So that was down near Kendal Way. So we went to the River Leven and then the River Loon as well. So we did Swiftwater there for a week in a real river. So that was a bit adventurous. And yeah, it was just I think about 12 weeks of just all the time training, and then we had our consolidation week, so it was just a roundup of everything, and then we had the big passing out parade at the end, which is just a showcase of the skills we've learned. And normally you can have friends and family there, but obviously with COVID at the minute it was just live streamed instead.
Okay,
but no, so that was a good end to it. And then we learned quite early on which station we were going to, so that we could get to know the managers and try and meet the team before we came on station. So it was nice to come on station and get to meet the crew and everything. And yeah, so I've been on station now for 3 months, and had a good variety of a couple of good jobs and a lot of training, which is nice. And I'm coming up to my 6th month assessment in a couple of weeks, just to make sure that I'm developing at the right pace. So that'll be good.
So it's not a case of you've got the letter, you go on training, you are still on probation and monitored quite a lot. And does that continue then after when you have your final assessment in a couple of weeks? Is the Stuart will vouch? Are you always constantly assessed then, obviously, to make sure that you're constantly on top of your job role? Then it's not a case of once you've been there for a year, you're on your Todd and that's it. You should know your job by now. Is there ongoing training all the time, or?
Yeah, definitely. So at the minute, you were saying before about different helmets. So my helmet has got a little red peak on it, which indicates that I'm still quite new. So there's some aspects of the job that I can't quite do yet. But after the 6 months, hopefully that'll be removed and I'll be a little more qualified. But we get assessed every 6 months up to the 2-year period. And the 2 year, that's when you're fully signed off and ready to go. But no, for the full 2 years, I'll be constantly being assessed and developing.
I'm guessing your station or shift manager will have a final say about how much work they can give you to and from, depending on the incident that you've arrived to. Yeah. Obviously, they know your individual capabilities. Some progress more than others. So, although, like you say, RTCs, for those that don't know, I believe that's road traffic collisions that we have on the motorways and stuff. When you have that, so you know that police arrive to these scenes, but you're the guys that are trained with the jaws of life and everything that's needed. So I'm guessing you get trained with hydraulics and all sorts as well in your training.
Yeah, so we got sort of the mechanics of cars, really. We went into a lot. And every incident's so different, really. The training's great. And then when you get there, it's just... yeah, everything's just so different. So you've got to kind of take every incident as it comes, really.
Well, good luck to you. Fingers crossed. We're all, like I say, we didn't know you were coming on, but Lauren, we have good luck to you. And we're going to keep you around. Stuart did say that there was a possibility that we could go for a wander. Is that true, Stuart? Can we still do that?
Yeah, we're still
Can we do that? Because you know what the people that aren't currently active servicemen or women are waiting for, don't you? If there's a possibility of seeing something that's at a fire station, they'd love to see that if we could. So feel free to pick up on Wander and take us around and show us. So while we're talking, I can still hear you, Lauren. So being new, are you on kitchen duty then? No, is that a thing? You know, are you the chef as well, or?
Yeah, so that was a thing. Obviously, before COVID happened, it was the role of cooking for each other. So, yeah, that was a nightmare. I didn't realise how much firefighters ate.
Yeah.
We do take it in turns. It's not just the newest person.
No.
Yeah,
but
turns, yeah.
It's daunting from going from cooking from yourself to cooking for 5 or 6 people on a shift.
I can imagine, like you say, young people these days that are joining the fire service that, you know, are 18 and they could barely cook minute rice in the microwave, and now having to be sufficiently cooking for, you know, a large team of individuals at work. That's probably a bit of a big step as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lauren actually got out of jail a little bit the first time she had to cook for the shift because she brought about enough fajitas in to feed one person when they were supposed to be feeding 5.
Right.
It was at a time when Nando's were trying their best to support all the key workers.
Yeah.
And just before we're about to sit down to eat our morsel of fajitas, there was the doorbell went off, and Nando's actually delivered 6 burgers to the station unannounced. So got her out of jail, really.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Was there some like cheeky tweets being sent out there? But you were sweating then, weren't you? I bet.
That was, honestly, and I thought they'd done it on purpose. They all joked that they were going to have to order a takeaway. Next thing, one came, but.
But it was generally just a nice surprise from Nando's. So shout out from Nando's. Thank you very much. Other takeaways are available. We're not sponsored. If anybody wants to sponsor us, we like Nando's as well. I'm in Carlisle. I'll have some of that. Pick us up. Take us for a walk. Stu. Just walk.
Yeah.
We can hear you. You haven't necessarily got to show us everything. But go for a wander.
No problem.
So obviously you're in one of the offices at the moment. So how big's the station then? While we're talking, so how many vehicles does Carlisle East actually have on site, emergency-wise?
So going through the appliance bay now. So this is the appliance bay. So this is what we call Charlie 20-1. So this is the fire engine that responds to all the emergencies that we go to. So this always turns out, and as you can tell, it's wrapped in a covering, which is basically from Carlisle and Eden Mine. So with the mental health awareness that we're trying to support, obviously some of the incidents that we go to are quite harrowing, and there is a big mental health aspect to our mind. So it's just there for a reminder when we're driving through the city centre that help is there for people and for ourselves as well. If we 100%. Do find that we're going to difficult incidents and we need to speak to someone. So obviously we've got ladders on the back, so if anybody's stuck up at a height, we can help rescue them with the normal fire engine. Going around, obviously the different lockers have got different equipment in them, so I won't go into every single locker.
No, you're all right.
But the kit's all here, so if a turnout comes in, we've got all our fire kit on the floor ready to go. All the leggings are around the boots, so they're just ready to jump into and pull up, because every second counts if somebody's trapped in a fire.
Of course.
So that's basically the main appliance that we have. So that turns out to every emergency that we go to.
So if something happens now, that's the one that goes instantly. That's the one you guys jump in straight away. That one's got enough stuff on it to assess and start obviously assisting in an emergency.
Yeah, so this is the only appliance that's actually crewed. So everybody rides this appliance when we've got enough people on duty. Then we've got specialist appliances as well, which are what we call jump crewed. So if we get an incident that comes in where we think we might need the aerial ladder platform, which is this appliance behind me that Lauren's trying to hide behind. So this is basically a big ladder on wheels. So it turns out if somebody's stuck high up, so it can reach 32 meters. So we can use it in conjunction with our working at height rescue equipment. So we can use it as a high anchor point to rescue people that are stuck underground, or if somebody's having a cardiac episode on scaffolding or can't get out of a building and we need to take them out of a window. That's the sort of thing that we use this for. But also if we get called to a really big fire and we need to squirt a load of water at it. Obviously water can do a lot of damage to a place that isn't necessarily been destroyed by fire, so we only use it at such factory fires and farm fires and things like that where the flames have actually come through the roof. The building's not really being able to save, so we need loads of water to put it out and cause as least disruption as possible. Again,
so anybody that's watching, if you have any questions about the trucks or the vehicles that you see, feel free to ask. If you've got your kids on as well, ask the questions. That's what Lauren and Stuart's there for. So can I put you on the spot there? Do you know if there's like an exact PSI that you use then for your water, just if there's a nerd out there that wants to know?
For the pressure that we squirt the water?
Yes.
It just depends on the incident, really. If we go to a house fire, then the hose that we generally use is the one on the fire engine. I'll show you this locker. So we open it up. So we've got 2 different types of hoses. So we've got the yellow lay flat hose, which is this, which is what we would use if we were at a really big fire. So a factory fire or a farm fire where there's a lot of flames, a lot of heat. We need to apply a lot of water quickly to put it out. We use this. The disadvantage with this is it does cause a lot of damage to basically the building. If it's not been affected by fire, if you use that in somebody's house, it would flood the house and it could cause more damage than a fire. So this is what we use to go to a normal house fire, the hose reel. So there's 60 meters on that that's actually attached to the fire engine. In the middle of the fire engine, there's 2,000 litres of water ready to go. So basically, we turn up, we put the pump in, pull that off, and that's ready to squirt.
Okay.
So if we're using this hose, it's generally 25 bars that we use for it, which it's quite a high pressure of water. It would be enough to knock you off your feet if you weren't paying attention. And the lay flat hose, it depends on the situation to how much water we would supply and what pressures we would use. So if we were using it freestanding, so a firefighter's on the ground, there's a fire in front of them, we're holding it, we probably wouldn't go much higher than 5 or 6 bar because that is enough to knock somebody off the feet. But if we were using it in conjunction with the big aerial ladder platform, we can use that as a water tower. We can provide up to 10 bars through that big lay flat hose, which is a lot of water to put out really big fires, basically. So basically what powers the hose is in the back of the fire engine. So if I open this locker here, with the engine on, it's got a bit of a computer screen here. So that tells us what pressure that we want. So there's pre-selected pressures on there for the most common ones that we use, or we can increase it and decrease it as we require, basically. And I said that we had 2,000 litres of water on the appliance. Obviously, that doesn't last for an indefinite period. So if we do need more water, we've got the powers to drain water from lakes, rivers, swimming pools, the sea, and also from the underground fire hydrants, which is what these are. So when you're driving along the street or walking along the street and you see the big yellow grates on the ground, FH, that's a fire hydrant. So in America, they're sticking out from the ground, like you might see on The Simpsons or such.
Yeah.
Like. In the UK, they're actually underground. So we take the plate off, we attach this, which is what's called a standpipe, so that attaches underground, and then we can get water from underground to help put the fires out.
I've not seen them recently, Stuart, but especially down in Suffolk, where I was originally from, correct me if I'm wrong, but there used to be yellow blocks with a H on it that used to just indicate where water is. Is that true? Is that what it was actually for?
Yeah, some of them are. So there might not necessarily be rocks. There can be like plates on the ground. So there'll be a little concrete pillar with an FH on it, and it tells us on there the distance from the actual plate. It'll always be pointing towards where the fire hydrant actually is, and it'll tell us the diameter of the main and things like that. And also on the fire engine, we do have a computer that will help us locate them when we're out and about. So we're not just, because obviously if we get called to a fire, it could be at 3 o'clock in the morning when it's pitch black dark. So although they are painted yellow, they're not obviously easy to find. So we've got the computer system which tells us where they are. So if we are in a hurry to get water from somewhere, it helps us locate them as well.
And if somebody's let the water out of their house, you've got another vehicle behind that one as well, haven't you?
Yeah. So moving around, so that's obviously the aerial ladder platform.
Yep.
This is the out-of-county boat. So we've got a water rescue boat ready to go. It's on a trailer. So if there was somebody stuck in river, this is ready to go. We just pull the vehicle around, hitch it up to the front, load the engine, and away it goes. So this is generally used for flooding out of county, because in Carlisle, unless the city's actually flooded, we'd find it difficult to launch it in the river because you do need good access to the river. But if there is flooding in Workington or wherever, or there is a lot of water about, then we could take it through and we can launch it from there. And also it goes out of county. So the specialist operators that get trained, we get sent down to the Menai Straits in Wales to do the training on it. So we can use it on fast flowing waters and take it out of county to help other counties that need our help, basically.
And with the, I guess, obviously, fitness side of things, do you all have to generally go for like fitness tests and routine? Or do they still do the bleep test, do they call it? Is there that kind of training, or what is it? What is the average fitness of a firefighter these days?
Yeah, so we still get annual fitness and strength tests. It gets programmed in throughout the year. So we've got fitness advisors in the fire service that not only do the testing, but they also advise us on nutrition and fitness plans and things if we need it throughout the year. And then they'll generally come down, they'll do the whole shift in one day if they can possibly. So they'll try and pick a day when everybody on that watch is on duty. And then you get a choice basically. So you'll get an individual medical where they'll be looking at things like body fat percentages, blood pressures and things like that, weight measurements to make sure there's nothing going on that we don't know about. And then we'll do a fitness test, which will generally include either the bleep test, which I think the pass mark for that is 8.8. So
that's not slow.
It's not slow, but it is achievable. And if you're not comfortable with the bleep test, so a lot of people don't like running, you can do what's called the Chester treadmill test. So that's basically on the treadmill. There's a predetermined speed that gets programmed in, and the incline gets steeper every 3 minutes, I think it is. And that's due to replicate a certain level of fitness, which is supposed to replicate basically, if we were in a house fire, it's as hard as they would expect us to work.
Of course. Obviously, you've got to stay fit for the job, but do you guys actively do sports or anything outside of work as well then in your free time? What about you, Lauren? Do you do anything outside of sports-wise, anything that you keep yourself active with?
Yes, obviously before lockdown and everything, I like to go to the gym. I live in Keswick, so it's great for walking up the fells and going running and things like that. So yeah, I was quite active outside of work.
What about you, Minty?
Yeah, I do a lot of exercise. Basically, I play football, which is my general fitness level. So we train for that once or twice a week, and obviously play matches.
Yeah.
But where we live as well, we love going up the lakes, and I've got a paddle board and things. So
I've got a message for you. I've got a message for you. That's it's not to. I think it's a genuine message because of who it's from. Bear with me 2 seconds. Don't worry, it shouldn't have. But I don't know if this is the part of the joke or not. Lindsay Goodyear, who's of Goodyear 220 in Kendal, has asked, I've heard that you've played in a legendary football game at Marksy. Is that true?
I wouldn't say legendary. Just before COVID really kicked off, I went out on loan to Kendal Town and did play a game against Marsk. We didn't win, so I wouldn't call it legendary, but yeah.
So, go on. What was you going to say? Go for it.
What, sorry?
What was it you were going to say?
I just said I was there. I did participate.
And again, so the enjoyment of the job itself. I mean, if we go on to the fun side of things, what your job is very serious, and we've discussed this yesterday. That you see things and have to be put through things yourself. Lauren and the rest of the guys, in any fire station in any part of the country, will have to go through things that may necessarily not be enjoyable. Would you say that humour and, as they say, banter in this age, is that like a key part of, like you say, keeping the team morale up, obviously, when you go to call outs?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, we do see some nasty sights, and if we dwelled on them, it would certainly not be as enjoyable coming to work. So we do try to put things behind us as much as we can. Obviously, we do get affected by the incidents that we see and the sights that we see. People have gone out of the job because they've got post-traumatic stress from the sites that they've seen. So a big part of it for us is, if we do have a really nasty job, we'll come back to station. We'll try not to get involved in too much computer work. We'll go out and do a training session with a fun element to it and have a bit of banter, because it does help you sort of recover from that and talk about the incidents that we go to. And the fire service is really supportive of that as well. So they do have, like, if we go to a fatal incident or something where there's been some fairly harrowing sights that we've seen, we've got a critical incident debrief team that can come down to the station and do it's a bit of a counselling session, basically, where you can get your thoughts out, discuss what you've seen, how you're feeling. It does help you get over those sort of incidents. And obviously we've got the OC Health team if we do feel that we need further support, and the Firefighters Charity based down at Emont Bridge as well in Penrith. That's a massive facility for us. So serving firefighters and their families can access support, be it physical or mental health, from there. a charity, so it's not government funded. We do raise money for it ourselves. We contribute through our wages where we can. And it's a great facility that's local for us, and that deals with people not just in Cumbria but all over the country as well. So if somebody gets injured at a fire or a road traffic collision, they can come there, get rehabilitation and help get over it, basically.
Yeah. Tom's asked, has he done the routines? Does that make sense to you?
That's our watch manager from the other fire station.
Oh, Tommy's hard at work. I'm sorry, this is pre-recorded. He's
There's 5 of us on duty, and I'm otherwise occupied, so I'll have to leave it to the rest of the team to sort them tonight.
Like you say, with the fun and banter and stuff. Obviously, you, as a firefighter for fire brigade and stuff like that, you do work in partnership obviously with the other emergency services quite a lot, because I mean everybody's job kind of interacts with everybody's. But in your professional opinion, Stuart, I mean, which profession's the hardest working profession on an emergency scene?
Oh, it's got to be the fire service. It's got to be.
So we're starting wars now. We're starting wars. That's it. You know.
I'm sure the police cars will be going past and voicing their opinions soon.
That's all right. I said it because Greg's is shutting soon.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate and respect the work that all the emergency services.
Yeah, and like you say, do you other than COVID situations, do you find yourself meeting or speaking to the other services quite a lot as well to stay connected in communication outside of emergency situations? Is there a lot of communication between the emergency services in Carlisle in general?
Yeah, Carlisle's quite a small city anyway, so I do know quite a lot of the police officers and paramedics out there. So on a personal level, like whenever we bump into them, we always have a bit of a catch up, and at jobs and things, we always speak to each other, and I try and have a little bit of banter when we can. Because, like I say, we do deal with some horrific scenes, so we don't want to be serious all the time. We do try.
No, of course.
Light instance.
So, Lauren, if you're there, you still there, Lauren?
She's here. She's lurking.
Do you, Lauren, and anybody, do you have any advice for like fire safety or safety in general for people while they're at home in this time? Do you have anything that you reckon that's probably a nice tip? I think me and Stuart went over yesterday, but do you have anything specifically that you're mentioning to people for safety at home?
Yeah, so it's testing your smoke alarms mainly. That's something you can be doing when you're inside. So we really advise that you test your smoke alarms weekly, and it's just as simple as pushing a button. Because at the minute, with everyone sort of having to isolate away from each other, it can be quite a lonely time. And we do tend to find that there are people living on their own who maybe live in an isolated area. And if there were to be a fire there and they didn't have working smoke alarms, it would just be unfortunate if they weren't being tested regularly. Obviously, before COVID, if you had visitors going around, you'd maybe have people noticing more. But obviously, at the minute, you sort of need to make sure your home is as safe as possible while you're on your own, really.
I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm not sure if it's still relevant, because I've worked in factories and other environments where we've had fire safety courses that we've had to go on. But I believe there's three main elements that start a fire, isn't it?
Yeah, so
right?
You've got... don't laugh at me. So you have to have the heat, there's the oxygen, there's the fuel. So you can't have a fire without all 3 of those. So we had a talk last night from Tom, the manager, describing about ideal mixtures. So you can't start a fire if there's too little fuel or too much oxygen. But you can still have smoke. So even if you do a little wisp of smoke, but you can't see a flame, it would still be advisable to call 999 before it escalated to a fire. Don't just wait until you see flames.
Okay, so as you say, it's kind of like a perfect recipe. Everything has to work well together to make a flame, and so just making sure that we eliminate one of those from any situation in your household could potentially give you extra time or save a life. As they say.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing we're advised at the minute as well is to close doors. So your average door in a property could save you about 20 minutes just a regular door in your house. So if there were to be a fire in your kitchen that's getting a bit out of control, rather than trying to tackle it yourself and possibly putting yourself in danger, if you were to just shut the kitchen door, that could give you upwards of 20 minutes to get yourself and get your family out of the property.
And I'm guessing, like you say, that works in your favour as well. If you've arrived at an incident, like you say, someone said, my kitchen's on fire, but I've shut all the doors downstairs. That's probably going to help you eliminate and tackle, fires as well. So it works both ways. It gives your house more chance of survival as well. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
stops the spread. Yeah. So when we get there, rather than a full house on fire, we've just got a room to deal with.
Yeah. Like you say, Carlisle's not the biggest. It's a city, but it's not the biggest of places in the world. So getting around the area and the back streets as well. Can we maybe mention that, ideal parking as well for emergency services? Like you say, if anybody's parking their car on the side of the road, please make sure that you've left enough room for an ambulance, fire engine or a car, because I'm sure that's one of the major things that you've probably come across on any adventure, that you've seen somebody parked a little bit too far away from the curb.
Yeah, I'll jump in this one because Lauren isn't a driver, but it is a problem we do come across in Carlisle regularly. There are streets that are a lot tighter than others, and people that are parking opposite each other and on corners and things. And it won't stop us getting to an emergency, but it can slow us down. And it's also not good for the cars, because if there's a car blocking us attending a life risk emergency, we will move it out the way by fair means or foul. There's nobody there.
No, I was going to say that is true though. Like you say, if it's a life or death situation, you may only have half a car left, because you will use the truck for its full purpose to move obstacles.
Yeah, if it's going to stop us from saving a life, we can put car windows through or bump them out the way if they're parked on fire hydrants and things like that. Obviously, it's a lot cheaper to replace somebody's car window than it is the cost of somebody's life.
Of course.
I can't put a price on a life, so we will do what we can to help resolve incidents for people.
So as you say, it's a community situation. Is there a way that people can donate? Obviously, have you got a cause directly that people can donate to the fire brigade? Obviously, East and West collectively, or generally just one. Is there somewhere they can do that?
For charity collections, our main charity that we support is the Firefighters Charity, just because that is who is there to support us if we do get injured and we need their help. Obviously, with COVID as well, there's not as many fundraising activities going on, so they are running short of money at the minute. So there's just giving pages and things like that to donate to the Firefighters Charity. And also the local charities that we support, such as Carlisle and Eden Mine, and also our friends at Eden Valley Hospice. They provide great care for the communities that need it, and respite care for individuals with disabilities and families. And we do regularly go down there in a pre-COVID world to show the daycare residents the fire engine and let them have a squirt of the hose, because it does it might just be a little action by us, but it makes a massive impact on them, and seeing people's faces light up just at seeing the fire engine having a go with the hoses. So it's not just about dealing with operational incidents, it's about affecting the community of Carlisle and making people's lives better wherever we can.
So you could, I will put a button on Chaturday Live's Facebook page so people can donate over the internet to the Firefighters Charity. So I'll put that up there to see if anybody's watching now. I'll put that up later on this evening or tomorrow. So if you do come across our page, feel free. Anything helps. Anything that you're willing to give helps, and it just keeps these guys, on the straight and narrow, and make sure that they've got the help that they need as well, inside and outside of work. So in regards to driving the fire truck, then, is there a legal age still, even though it's an emergency service and there's still training? Do you need, the big licenses? How does that work?
Yeah, so you still need to pass the tests that you would normally have to. So I think you've got to be 21 to drive a HGV. So it's not just a case of you pass your test to drive a HGV and you let loose in the streets of Carlisle under blue lights. You've got to do your actual test for the vehicle, and then the theory test for the vehicle, the practical test for the vehicle, and then the advanced training. So driving under blue light conditions, driving at speed and things like that. And then once you've passed that test as well, you're also regularly assessed. So every 3, 4, 5 years you'll get called back to for a requalification. So I did mine on Tuesday, so went to Penrith headquarters to see the driving instructor, and then he brought us back through to Carlisle to do blue light runs training to make sure our skills are sharp, because it's probably one of the most dangerous parts of the job, driving the blue lights, because if we're trying to proceed to incidents at speed, drivers do act erratically. They can pull out in front of you, they can not react. We can have pedestrians that don't see us or don't hear us, or potentially intoxicated by drugs and alcohol. So it is a really dangerous part of our job for ourselves and for the general public. So we need to make sure that our skills are sharp on that.
Lauren, is that something that you're aiming to do in the future yourself?
I think, yeah, well into the future. At the minute, I'm still quite new to the whole service, so I'm getting used to the way the fire engine works as a whole. But no, definitely in the future, it's something I'd like to be trained up in, yeah. And
Lauren, what do you think of your line manager?
Yeah.
The pause and everything.
He's really nice, yeah.
So what was on the menu this evening then? Are you doing a mass cook, or is everybody bringing packed lunches in? How does it normally work these days?
So at the minute, it's just bringing in for ourselves. Yes, it saved me the trouble of trying to cook for everybody again, so I could just cook for myself. Yeah, no, tonight it's just a fend for yourself night. Yeah, it's
a fend for yourself. But on a normal given day, Sean, I mean, what's a firefighter's evening meal look like?
Just a mass meal, something you can make absolutely loads of.
We're athletes. Salad and chicken breasts. That's all we eat.
All right, so it's not like going back for seconds then on like chili con carne and stews on out then.
Oh yeah, it's just anything that you can get a lot of.
If there is anybody that works for obviously a takeaway company other than Nando's, they don't turn food away at the door, by the way. So, and obviously the firefighters are on shift 24/7. So if you're coming to the end of your shift and you happen to work at a Subway or any other major branded food, and you have something that you need to get rid of, take it to Carlisle East Fire Station. The guys at West, they don't want that. They don't care. All right, so only take it to East. All right, they don't need it. So in regards to firefighting, then, how did you get into it, Lauren? Then, or how does somebody look into it as a possible future for themselves? If there's anybody watching, going, "Hey, look, I want to look into that myself," how does somebody become a firefighter?
Yeah, so like Stuart, I really got inspired when firefighters came into my school when I was at primary school and gave the talk and showed us around the fire engines. That really struck with me, so I wanted to be in for a long time. The way you can kind of do it is just check on your local county's website. So I found out by going on the county council website and looking at job vacancies, and it's always advertised in the newspaper, things like that. So even on call, if you go into your local station and just ask if they're hiring, really. But yeah, no, it's definitely something I'd recommend going towards. It's definitely such a good career.
Because nobody would want to be a police officer. Is that what she's trying to say? No. No, I'm only joking. We do appreciate all emergency services, and if you are watching, you're an ambulance driver, paramedic, or anything like that, please get in touch with the show, because I'd love to interview you guys in any workplace or even at home if you can't do it at work, because we'd like to continue showing our support, because like you say, we're in support of mental health awareness, and like you say, you guys do a fantastic job, and it does play well on your mind. So, keep up the fantastic work, and fingers crossed everybody stays safe, especially, for your benefits, that you don't turn up to anything anytime soon that needs drastic help. So, like you say, normally you're out doing fundraising, you're normally out with the truck, like at fates and stuff like that. You're not doing that anytime soon, but maybe after COVID, people will be able to say hello and see you. Possibly after summer when you're back out there in the public eye. Like I said, I don't think there's any more major questions coming in. But what we'll do is we'll keep you up to date. We may get you guys back on the show again in the future. Maybe see how you've got on personally, Lauren. See how you've done after your 6 months and stuff, and see how you get it on. As all they're doing on the comments section is just giving you grief.
Yeah, it's standard. I expected it, to be fair.
I'm not going to lie to you. Like you say, I can't put someone up on the screen now. If I asked you who you possibly thought it was giving you grief, could you tell me?
Yeah, there'll be a few candidates, to be fair. And a few of them have got the name Sean, I guess.
That's the one, yeah. So, thank you ever so much for showing us around the trucks. Thank you very much for talking to us this evening. We do appreciate it. Fingers crossed, obviously, you have a nice, quiet night, and Lauren doesn't have to cook for everybody, so she's happy with that.
We're all hoping for that.
That's what we're all hoping for that. Like you say, and everybody in Carlisle, stay safe. And remember, when you're out and about, just remember to think about yourself. Oh, hang on. There will be 2 seconds. I'm putting this live up on the screen. Oscar asked Lauren to come to my office regarding her thoughts on her line manager.
Yeah, it's about now.
Yeah. Lauren at the moment is currently seeking other employment by the sounds of it. So if Carlisle West, if you're watching and you're hiring, please come and get Lauren safer. No, I'm joking. It's fine.
If I can just say one thing before we go as well.
Please do.
With regarding the testing of smoke alarms, if anybody doesn't have any smoke alarms, or the loved ones don't have any smoke alarms, or the test them and they're not working, feel free to ring your nearest fire station. If it's a whole-time station, so Carlisle East, Carlisle West. If it's an on-call station that deals with the area, you go to the Cumbria Fire and Rescue Service website. You can click on a link and say you don't have any working smoke alarms, and we fit them for free. So if you get the number for Carlisle East to Carlisle West, if you live in Carlisle, give us a call. Even during COVID, if people don't have working smoke alarms in their house, we are willing to go out and put our personal protective equipment on to fit them, because it is so important.
Yeah. So it's simple as that. Again, I will see if I can I'll get the website off you that I'll put in the comment section as well, that they can have a direct link to be able to click on that. And like you say, if you don't have a working smoke alarm, please, after this, if you're in your house and you're not going to wake anybody up, check your smoke alarms. Definitely check your smoke alarms. Make sure they're all okay. And if not, get in touch with your local fire station, because there are people that are watching outside of Cumbria that watch this. Get in touch with any of your local fire stations. Worst thing they can do is just give you advice where to get them or who to talk to. Because like you say, you guys work very hard, and anything that can prevent any harm to any individual is worth doing. Yeah. So see if I can get you both in the frame then to say goodbye. We're going to do an 80s cheesy game show wave goodbye. So it's Lauren and Stuart, thank you ever so much for joining us on Chaturday Live. Stuart, I'll email you and get in contact with you again after this, because like you say, and we're going to put your football boots back on, and maybe you can get Sean off that bench as well, the bench warmer, and maybe
I always said I was a better striker anyway, to be honest.
Yeah, I believe you. I've seen him kick a ball, so don't worry. All right, you've got no worries. All right. So again, make sure you follow your local fire stations as well on social media, because there may be information on there that they're giving out that could be relevant to you, your business, and obviously your family. So cheesy 80s wave. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good evening.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Bye. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for tuning in to Chaturday Live. I hope you enjoyed it. I was very nice speaking to Stuart and Lauren. That was fantastic. Again, if you do work for an emergency services that you'd like to speak to us, or we can interview you, because it's only me at the moment, but I do have a team eventually coming on board. We'd love to speak to you. Or if you have a small business, a hobby, or a talent that you'd like to talk to us on Chaturday Live about, please get in touch. It's free advertising. We'll just plug you on the show, give you a full hour of chatting about whatever it is you love doing, whatever career it is you love doing. Big up to the firefighters, literally globally. You do a fantastic job. Tom, you've got them trained very well. I'm sure that they'll all be expecting pay rises after that lovely promotion. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much from me, Jay Robinson. Remember to like and share Chaturday Live. The further it goes, the more people we can help with harmless entertainment as such, and hopefully cheer a few people up during this pandemic, and hopefully afterwards as well. We'll see you all again soon. I'm going to do a cheesy wave, and have a good evening. Good night.